Welcome to Turkish TV series. Today I bring you a ranking I know you've been waiting for. The 10 best Turkish series available on Netflix. From absolutely original dystopian thrillers to period dramas that blend real history with romance and fantasy, this catalog has productions for every single taste. Whether you've been following Turkish drama for years or are just taking your first steps into this universe, I guarantee you'll find your next favorite series right here. Before we start the video, it would mean a lot if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your kind support. Number 10. Love 101. Don't sleep on this one because Love 101 is the kind of show that will catch you completely off guard from start to finish. The story takes us to Istanbul in 1998, where a group of misfit students with troubled backgrounds and wildly different personalities join forces for one goal: preventing their only supportive teacher from being transferred to another city. Their plan involves making her fall in love with the school's new basketball coach. What they never expected is that, in the middle of that ridiculous scheme, they would end up discovering what it really means to fall in love themselves. What makes Love 101 stand out is how it builds its characters. Each one carries their own wounds: family abandonment, loneliness, a desperate need to belong. They aren't simple archetypes from a teen drama. They are real human beings full of contradictions. The series alternates between past and present in a clever way, adding layers of nostalgia that hit hard. One weak point I should mention: there are moments when the plot moves too slowly, and some secondary subplots feel unnecessary, stretching episodes that could have been sharper. I felt it myself during the final stretch of the second season. Even so, the chemistry among the young cast is genuine, the era's soundtrack is spot on, and there are scenes that will leave your chest tight. One of the best Turkish productions for anyone looking for something beyond the traditional romantic drama. Number 9. Midnight at the Pera Palace. Do you know what the worst part is? Midnight at the Pera Palace grabs you from the very first minute and doesn't let go until the end. The story follows Ezra, a young journalist who arrives at Istanbul's legendary Pera Palace Hotel to write a piece about its 130th anniversary. What no one could anticipate is that, upon entering room 411, Ezra is catapulted back to the year 1919, right at the heart of one of the most turbulent periods in Turkish history. There, she comes face to face with her own double, Pera, and finds herself in the middle of a conspiracy threatening the life of Mustafa Kemal, the founder of modern Turkey. What sets this production apart is its historical care. The costumes, settings, and period atmosphere are built with impressive precision. The blend of political intrigue, romance, and time travel works in a surprisingly fluid way. That said, I have to be honest. There are moments when the time jumps get a little confusing and some plot resolutions feel rushed, as if the writers had more ideas than the available time allowed them to develop. I had to pause a couple of times to sort out the timeline in my head, but the final result is a series with its own identity, blending real history with speculative fiction quite well. If you enjoy period drama with a supernatural twist, Midnight at the Pera Palace is a choice you won't regret. Number 8. Hot Skull. Pay close attention because Hot Skull is one of the most original and daring Turkish productions Netflix has released. The story takes place in a dystopian Istanbul, where an epidemic of madness spreads through spoken language. Anyone who hears an infected person risks losing their mind. In that terrifying context, Murat is the only man immune to the disease, which immediately makes him the target of a tyrannical government institution that wants to exploit that mysterious biological immunity for its own purposes. The series works as an unsettling reflection on power, state surveillance, and the suppression of individual freedom, all wrapped in a visually stunning production that holds its own against many Western shows. It must be acknowledged, however, that the pace of the first episodes is quite slow, and the construction of the dystopian universe can feel dense for those unfamiliar with the genre. I personally had to push through a couple of episodes before the story found its rhythm. Unfortunately, it was canceled before a second season could happen. The ending leaves open questions that will never be answered, and that stings. Even so, as a complete cinematic experience, Hot Skull is absolutely unlike anything else you've seen in Netflix's Turkish catalog. If you can get through the beginning, what follows is worth every minute. Number 7. Fatma. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one hit hard. Fatma is the kind of production you don't expect to find on a streaming platform because its intensity and raw edge are on another level entirely. The story centers on Fatma, a woman invisible to the world. She works as a cleaning lady. Nobody looks at her, nobody listens to her. When her husband is released from prison and disappears without a trace, Fatma begins a desperate search that, step by step, without intending to, turns her into something no one would have imagined, a killer. Not out of malice, but because of the accumulation of tragedies and humiliations that life imposed on her without mercy. What makes this series exceptional is Berku Biricik's performance in the lead role. It's one of those portrayals that freeze you in place, silent, restrained, yet capable of conveying an entire universe of pain with a single glance. The direction is precise, without excesses, and each 40-minute episode moves forward with a tension that offers no respite. The only weakness I can point to is that some secondary characters feel underdeveloped, and with only 6 episodes, the story closes some conflicts in a rushed way. That accelerated ending frustrated me a bit. But overall, Fatma is a hidden gem within Netflix's Turkish catalog. One of the greats, without question. Number 6, The Gift. I personally stopped watching in the 3rd season because the story became too convoluted for my taste, and yet I don't regret having started it. The Gift is Netflix's 2nd original Turkish production and offers something genuinely different, the story of ADDICTIVE, a young painter who has spent her entire life reproducing a mysterious symbol in her artwork without knowing where it comes from. Everything changes when an archaeologist discovers that same symbol among the ruins of Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old temple. From that moment, Atiye's life becomes a search for identity, origin, and purpose that will lead her to confront ancient forces beyond human understanding. The 1st season is nearly perfect, well-written, well-acted, with a supernatural atmosphere that hooks you effortlessly. Baron Saat is brilliant in the lead role. The problem, honestly, is that the 2nd and 3rd seasons get unnecessarily complicated. The jumps between dimensions and timelines become confusing, and it shows that the writers stretched the story further than the original premise allowed. There are episodes that are simply hard to follow, but the 1st season alone absolutely justifies watching the show. The landscapes of Anatolia are of a breathtaking beauty, and the blend of mythology, archaeology, and romance is irresistible. Number 5, Ethos. Nobody is talking about this, but Ethos is probably the smartest and most daring Turkish series in Netflix's catalog, and very few people have actually seen it. It is not a soap opera. There are no grand romances or textbook villains. It is something entirely different, a surgical exploration of the contradictions living inside contemporary Turkish society. The story begins with Meryem, a young domestic worker from a conservative family who suffers unexplained fainting spells and is sent to a secular, highly educated psychiatrist from a completely different world. From that initial encounter, the series weaves together the lives of characters from radically different backgrounds: wealthy, poor, secular, religious, Kurdish, Turkish, all connected by invisible threads in the same city. Berkan Oya''s direction is of an extraordinary cinematic precision. Every shot looks like a painting. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. What must be acknowledged, to be fair, is that this show is not for everyone. The pace is slow and deliberate, and those seeking action or fast plot twists will get frustrated. It was hard for me to get into the 1st episode myself, but those with the patience to let it carry them will find one of the richest and most honest television experiences Turkey has ever produced. The ending of this story will leave you speechless. Number 4, Shahmaran. I think we all know what it means to blend ancient mythology with intense romance and top-tier production values. Shahmaran does exactly that, and does it well. The story follows Şahsu, a psychology professor from Istanbul, who travels to the city of Adana to teach a course and, in the process, confront her grandfather who abandoned her mother when she was a child. What she didn't expect to find is the Mar community, a group of people who believe themselves to be descendants of Shahmaran, a mythological creature that is half woman, half snake, a symbol of wisdom and love. And at the center of it all is Maran, an enigmatic man whose connection to that legend makes him irresistible and dangerous at the same time. The chemistry between the two leads is palpable from their very first meeting. The production is visually spectacular. Adana has never looked this beautiful and mysterious on screen. The Turkish mythology that inspires the series is fascinating and not told anywhere else, which gives Shahmaran a very strong identity of its own. The weak point lies in some episodes where the pacing drops noticeably and certain secondary arcs don't develop with the depth they deserve. The second season raises the intensity but introduces elements that complicate the plot unnecessarily. Even so, for lovers of romance with supernatural touches, this series is absolutely unmissable. Number 3. The Tailor. Despite a promising start, The Tailor ends up being one of those productions that hooks you in ways you can't always fully explain. The story revolves around Peyami, a young and successful fashion designer in Istanbul who inherited talent and a business from his grandfather. When the grandfather dies, Peyami is forced to bring his father Mustafa, who has the mental capacity of a child, into the center of his public life, keeping him hidden from everyone. To complicate things further, Esvet, a woman fleeing an abusive relationship with Dimitri, Peyami's best friend, mysteriously appears in their lives under a false identity. 3 people, 3 secrets, a web of lies threatening to unravel at any moment. The series is based on real experiences from a Turkish psychiatrist's patients, which gives it a powerful layer of authenticity. The lead performance is solid and intense, with an ability to convey contained emotion that is rarely seen in productions of this type. That said, being honest, the plot has moments that are completely implausible, and there are character decisions that make no apparent logical sense beyond generating drama. I found myself frustrated more than once during the second season. But the pace never stops. The plot twists are genuinely surprising, and the emotional universe the series builds grabs you in a way that's hard to ignore. If you can get through the beginning, what follows is worth everything. Number 2. Rise of Empires. Ottoman. Unfortunately, I have to let you know that if you still haven't watched Rise of Empires, Ottoman, you are missing out on an experience that combines real history with first-rate drama in a way that very few productions manage to pull off. The series narrates the epic campaign of Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II to conquer Constantinople in 1453, bringing an end to the Byzantine Empire, which had stood for over 1,000 years. The format is a docudrama. It combines high-budget dramatic reenactments with commentary from real historians who contextualize every military and political decision. The result is fascinating. What sets this production apart is its ability to make you feel the weight of every historical decision. It isn't just about battles. It's the story of a 19-year-old sultan carrying the burden of a prophecy, facing betrayal within his own council, and needing to prove to an entire world that he is worthy of his destiny. The lead performance as Mehmed II is powerful and memorable. The weak point I should mention is that the docudrama format, with historians speaking directly to camera, can feel a bit disjointed at times, breaking the dramatic immersion. Some viewers find that style a bit cold compared to pure drama, but the history it tells is so impactful, and the battle sequence is so imposing that those interruptions are easily forgiven. 200 million people can't be wrong. Number 1. The Protector. Listen to me carefully. The Protector didn't reach number 1 on this ranking by accident. It is the first original Turkish series that Netflix produced, and with it, the platform proved that Turkey had everything it needed to compete with world-class productions. The story follows Hakan, a young antique shop seller in Istanbul's Grand Bazaar, living a completely ordinary life. Everything changes when he discovers that he belongs to a secret, ancient order whose purpose is to protect Istanbul from the immortals, ageless beings with superhuman powers who have been trying to destroy the city for centuries. Hakan has no training, no experience, and clearly doesn't want the job, but destiny doesn't negotiate. What makes this production great is the combination of Ottoman mythology, contemporary Istanbul, and top-tier action. The entire city becomes a character. The minarets, the Bosphorus, the bazaar, the historic alleyways. The series has 4 seasons, and that is sometimes a problem. The first season is brilliant. The second maintains the level. The third and fourth, however, show clear signs that the story was stretched beyond what the original premise could support, with some plot arcs that feel redundant and character decisions that frustrated more than one viewer, myself included. Even so, as a whole, The Protector is a pioneering work that opened the door to all the Turkish productions that followed on Netflix. I finished it in under a week. Now you know. And so we reach the end of our top 10 Turkish series on Netflix. I hope this list gave you exactly what you were looking for your next marathon. If you've already seen any of these productions, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. If there's a series you think deserved a spot here and didn't make it, I want to hear about that too. Don't forget to leave a like, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss any recommendations. See you next time.